Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Arthur Kim. I am a civil rights lawyer, and we are here today to oppose racism against any of our brothers, any of our sisters, and any of our loved ones, whether they are white, black, Hispanic, Native, or Asian. Racism is hate, and hate destroys lives. Hate destroys careers. Hate destroys mental health. There is in the air today the notion that it is okay to hate certain people. There's an ideology that has gained traction in our times that says it is okay to hate our fellow man as long as that man is a white man. All white men are bad. All white men are born racists and bigots. All white men have what they have because they're white. And if they are dispossessed of what they have, it's okay. Now, this ideology passes for progressivism today. It passes for liberalism. But brothers and sisters, there is nothing liberal or progressive about hate. In fact, hate is the ultimate betrayal of our liberal tradition that created our civil rights laws. Hate is the ultimate betrayal of the beautiful dream of racial brotherhood for which the great Dr. Martin Luther King gave up his very life. We who are gathered here today will not let the progressive dream, the liberal dream, or the American dream turn into a nightmare based on hatred. Calling white men fucking white guys is racist. We have hit the streets today to reject hatred, to send hatred back to the darkness from which it came, because we know better. We know that our true happiness is to be found in the love that unites man with man as brothers and sisters. And for that, we have come here to put our society back on the path of love, and we will remain true to that love. And for that reason, we are here today to help our white brothers in their hour of need. Because there is a major institution in Southern California called the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California, which under its current leadership, General Manager Adel Haga Khalil, this institution has embraced the politics of hatred. Under Mr. Haga Khalil's leadership, an employee is allowed to go around calling white men fucking white guys. This employee is allowed to approach a white coworker and say, "I know all you white boys are born racists and bigots." This employee has been allowed to chase white managers from their positions because they're white. This employee has been allowed to go around saying things like, "The only reason you have your position, your job, is because you're white." Now, human resources of the Metropolitan's own human resources management attempted to correct these civil rights violations. But under Mr. Haga Khalil's leadership, any and all discipline has been prevented. Now, my office has filed 4 lawsuits against Metropolitan to combat this racism. We also organized a march similar to this one earlier this year in Santa Ana, California. And following our lawsuits and our march, another employee has filed complaints alleging hostile work environment, cronyism, and retaliation. And this employee is no less than the number 2 person at the Metropolitan, who happens to be a black female executive. And following our activity, the Hispanic Employees Association has also weighed in on the matter, and they have urged the board to take action to address the increased discrimination, increased intimidation, and increased cronyism in the workplace. Now, I'm happy to report that following our lawsuits in the recent weeks, the Metropolitan Board has taken the step of placing the general manager on an administrative leave. Under the leadership of this general manager, the work of the Human Resources Department has been undermined, and blatant racism against white men has been swept under the rug. Two things need to happen going forward. One, the leave of the general manager must become permanent. And second, the employee who has been responsible for all of this racist conduct must be disciplined as intended by Human Resources. In other words, all of the racism that I have just described against white men to this day has not been punished. More than 3 years has passed, but the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California refuses to correct racism against white men. For the good people of San Diego, I have a question for you. The Metropolitan Water District is run in part by the San Diego Water Authority, which appoints 4 of the board members of the Metropolitan. In other words, the San Diego Water Authority governs in part the Metropolitan, which means you, the people of San Diego, govern in part the Metropolitan. So, to my white brothers and sisters, the question I have is, what are you going to do about this situation? What are you going to do about all of this blatant racism against white men that I have just described? Because if you let this become the new reality, then what kind of world are you leaving behind for your children and for your grandchildren? You are leaving behind a world where your children will be second-class citizens because they're white, and yet they do not even have the protection of California's civil rights laws. To my non-white brothers and sisters, let me answer the question for us. We are going to help our white brothers in their time of need because it is the right thing to do and because it is the smart thing to do. The last thing that any of us needs is a race war, especially during these times when we are struggling with so many important problems. What we need as a society is greater unity between the races, not less. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me share one final thought with you about race. Now, I grew up in Los Angeles County. I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and I grew up in a time when the idea was that we were going to share who we were with each other. We were going to learn from each other, and we were born into a certain race, but we were going to grow and become more than our specific race. Let me suggest to you that that is something that we have been losing in recent times, but that is what made us special as Americans, that we were not limited just to our race, but to all of the races. So I'm Korean. I'm proud to be Korean. Forgive me if I believe that a part of myself is black. And forgive me if I believe that a part of myself is Mexican and a part of myself is white. But I believe that is ultimately the American dream. We are not limited to who we are. We are meant to share with each other who we are. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce you to Mr. Dane Crawford, who is one of my clients, who we represent in a racial discrimination lawsuit against the Metropolitan. Mr. Dane Crawford is one of the white managers who was removed from his position because he's white. He is the white manager who was falsely accused of being a threat to safety when he wasn't, and you don't have to take my word for it. The Metropolitan actually hired an independent investigator to conduct a professional threat assessment, which can actually be found on their website. And the threat assessment cleared Mr. Dane of those false racist charges.
My name is Dane Crawford. I worked for MWD for approximately 25 years. I am a victim. Metropolitan Water District CEO Adel Hagakhalil and his executive management has failed to correct racism, sexism, and relentless harassment during the last 2.5 years of my employment. 7 years ago, Metropolitan Water District had a short video produced called Wings Over Metropolitan's Colorado River Aqueduct. You can find this video on YouTube. The MWD board, MWD staff, and the public will get a good understanding of how water gets from the desert of California to the taps of your houses. Please take a few minutes and watch this video. Each day, my job was to manage, maintain, and modify, repair many of the structures you'll see in this video. The CRA is the single most valuable and reliable resource of water Southern California has had for more than 75 years. Today's MWD executive management needs to focus on moving water. Water does not care what color your skin is or what gender you are. We all need water. Racist and sexist attacks on any person should not happen in the workplace and will not change the fact that we all need water. Water is life. Metropolitan's top priority is delivering water to 19 million people of all races and to create a fair, safe work environment for all employees. That is the core target of MWD and always will be. Without people like myself moving water through the CRA, Southern California would be a desert. MWD has failed myself and others by allowing vicious racist attacks, in particular on white men. I never failed MWD, not once, not one single time. Always completed the job, always delivered your water safely and effectively. These attacks have changed the lives of many employees within MWD. Let me say that again. This injustice has changed these employees forever. They will never be the same. My hope is that by coming forward, the board will act and make corrections so attacks like this will never happen to another employee, no matter what color their skin is or what gender they are. Harassment and racism, hate should never be tolerated, much less promoted within the workplace. The board should understand by now, I will not stop in my effort to correct this injustice. So this is real clear. I will not stop in my effort to correct this injustice. It cost me my livelihood. It deeply affected my family and my well-being. I did not fail MWD. MWD failed me. I want to thank you all for your time.